Hey everyone, Linus here. Let's talk about something that gets a lot of people sweating. A broken computer. That moment when your trusty PC, your gateway to gaming, work, and endless cat videos suddenly gives up the ghost. It can feel like a total disaster. The first instinct for many is to panic, then maybe start looking up the price of a brand new machine. But hold on a second. What if I told you that you, yes, have the power to fix a surprising number of common computer problems all by yourself? It's not some dark magic reserved for tech wizards in secret labs. It's a skill, and like any skill, you can learn it. This guide is your first step on that journey. We're going to demystify the process, breaking it down into simple, manageable steps. Forget the confusing jargon and the intimidating technical manuals for a moment. We're going to talk like normal people about what's going on inside that box on or under your desk, or in that laptop on your lap. Think of me as your friendly neighborhood tech guide, here to show you the ropes. We'll cover everything from the basic tools you'll need to figuring out what's actually wrong, and then the satisfying part, applying the fix. It's all about building confidence one small victory at a time. Imagine the feeling of bringing your computer back from the brink. You didn't just save a bunch of money on a repair bill or a new purchase. You conquered a challenge. You looked a problem in the eye and solved it. That's an incredibly empowering feeling. And the best part? The more you do it, the easier it gets. The skills you learn today will help you troubleshoot future problems with even more confidence. Whether your desktop is making a weird noise or your laptop has slowed to a crawl, we're going to tackle it together one step at a time so you can get back to what you love doing. So take a deep breath. You don't need a degree in computer science to get started. All you need is a little bit of patience, a willingness to learn, and this guide. We'll walk through the process from start to finish, and I promise, it's not as scary as it looks. We'll explore the simple fixes that solve the majority of issues and even discuss when it's smart to wave the white flag and call for backup. Ready to roll up your sleeves and become your own tech hero? Let's dive in and get that machine running like new again. You've totally got this. Alright, before we start taking things apart, let's talk about tools. Just like you wouldn't try to cook a gourmet meal without a knife and a pan, you can't properly fix a computer without the right gear. The good news is, you don't need a massive, expensive workshop to handle the basics. For most common repairs, a small dedicated toolkit will do the trick. The absolute star of the show is a good set of screwdrivers. I'm talking about a precision set that includes multiple sizes of Phillips head and flathead bits. Many modern PCs, especially laptops, also use tiny Torx screws, so a kit that includes those is a huge bonus. Next up on our essential list is something to help you organize all those tiny screws you'll be removing. Trust me, there is no feeling worse than finishing a repair and having a mysterious extra screw left over. A simple magnetic tray or even just a few small bowls or an ice cube tray will work wonders. This keeps everything sorted so you know exactly which screw goes back where. You'll also want something to help you gently pry open plastic casings, especially on laptops. A set of plastic spudgers or even an old credit card can do this without scratching or cracking the case. Metal tools can cause damage, so stick with plastic for prying. Let's add a few more things to our kit. A can of compressed air is your best friend for cleaning out dust, which is a major cause of overheating. Think of it as a power washer for your PC's insides. You'll also want some isopropyl alcohol, 90% or higher is best, and some microfiber cloths or cotton swabs for cleaning contacts and removing thermal paste. And speaking of thermal paste, if you're planning on touching the CPU cooler, having a tube of new paste is non-negotiable. Finally, a small flashlight or even the light on your phone is invaluable for seeing into the dark corners of a PC case. So to recap, your starter kit should have a precision screwdriver set with Phillips, flathead and Torx bits, a magnetic screw tray, plastic prying tools, a can of compressed air, isopropyl alcohol and a flashlight. You can often find pre-made computer repair kits online that bundle most of these items together for a pretty reasonable price. For example, I once helped a friend who thought his laptop was dead. All we needed was a Phillips screwdriver to open the back, a spudger to disconnect the battery, and a can of compressed air to clean a dusty fan. That simple kit saved him from buying a new laptop. Before you even think about touching the inside of your computer, we need to have a serious talk about safety. This isn't just about protecting you, it's about protecting the delicate electronic components inside your machine. The number one enemy of your PC's internals is something you can't even see. Static electricity. You know that little shock you get when you walk across a carpet and touch a doorknob? That tiny zap carries thousands of volts of electricity. While it's harmless to you, it's more than enough to permanently destroy sensitive parts like your RAM, CPU, or motherboard. This is called electrostatic discharge, or ESD. So how do we fight this invisible enemy? The best and easiest way is with an anti-static wrist strap. It's a simple bracelet with a wire and an alligator clip on the end. You wear the strap on your wrist and clip the other end to a large, unpainted metal part of your computer's case. This continuously and safely grounds you, ensuring that any static charge you build up is discharged harmlessly, instead of being channeled through a sensitive component. If you don't have a wrist strap, you can minimize the risk by frequently touching the metal case of the PC, but a dedicated strap is a much safer bet. The second major safety rule is to completely disconnect the power. This might sound obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people forget. For a desktop computer, this means not just turning it off with the power button, but physically unplugging the power cord from the back of the PC. For a laptop, you should turn it off, unplug the charging cable, and if possible, remove the battery. Some modern laptops have internal batteries. In that case, you'll need to open the case and find the battery connector to disconnect it from the motherboard before you start working on anything else. Power must be completely cut. Finally, work in a smart environment. Find a clean, well-lit and organized workspace. A cluttered desk is a recipe for losing screws or knocking something over. Work on a hard surface like a wooden or laminate table, not on a carpet, which is a major generator of static electricity. Keep liquids far, far away from your work area. Spilling a drink on an open computer is a surefire way to cause a short circuit and turn a simple repair into a total catastrophe. A friend of mine once tried to replace his RAM on his living room carpet and fried his motherboard. A 10-minute job turned into a $200 mistake because he skipped these basic safety steps. Okay, our workspace is safe and our tools are ready. Now comes the detective work diagnosing the problem. Your computer can't tell you what's wrong in plain English, so it gives you clues. It might be running incredibly slow, making strange noises, refusing to turn on, or showing bizarre error messages. Your job is to interpret these clues to figure out if you're dealing with a software issue, a problem with the programs and operating system, or a hardware issue, which is a problem with the physical parts. This is the most important step, because you can't fix a problem until you know what it is. Let's start with the most common clues. Is your computer slow, freezing, or crashing? This often points to a software problem, like a virus, too many programs running at once, or a fragmented hard drive. Do you see a no-signal message on your monitor? That could be a simple loose cable, a problem with your graphics card, or a monitor issue. Are you hearing unusual noises? A clicking or grinding sound is a classic sign of a failing mechanical hard drive, a major hardware red flag. A loud fan noise could just mean it's dusty and needs a good cleaning, or it could mean it's failing. A great real-world example is the blue screen of death in Windows. It looks terrifying, but it's actually a gift. That blue screen almost always includes an error code, something like IRQL_not_less_or_equal. Don't just stare at it in fear. Grab your phone and search for that exact error code. The search results will often point you directly to the cause, which could be a bad driver, faulty RAM, or a recent software installation. My cousin's gaming PC kept crashing with a blue screen of death. A quick search of the error code suggested a RAM issue. We tested the memory sticks one by one and found a faulty one. A simple hardware swap fixed it. The key here is to be methodical. Don't just start randomly changing things. Think about what changed recently. Did you just install a new program or a new piece of hardware? The problem often lies with the most recent change. If the computer won't turn on at all, no lights, no fans, nothing, the problem is likely related to power. Start by checking the wall outlet, the power strip, and the power cable itself. If those are fine, the next logical suspect is the power supply unit inside the computer. By breaking the problem down and asking logical questions, you can narrow down the possibilities from everything is broken to a specific fixable issue. If your detective work points towards a software problem, one of the most common culprits is malware. That's a catch-all term for viruses, spyware, adware, and other nasty programs that can cripple your computer's performance. These malicious programs run in the background, consuming your system's resources, tracking your activity, and bombarding you with pop-up ads. A classic sign of infection is your web browser suddenly having a new homepage or search engine you didn't set, or random ads appearing on your desktop. It feels like your computer has a mind of its own and not in a good way. The first line of defense is to run a full system scan with a reputable anti-malware program. If you don't have one, there are many excellent free options available like Malwarebytes or Avast Free Antivirus. It's crucial to make sure your security software is fully updated before you run the scan, so it can detect the latest threats. The scan might take a while, sometimes several hours, so be patient. Let it run to completion and then follow its instructions to quarantine or remove any threats it finds. After the scan and cleanup, it's essential to reboot your computer. But what if the malware is so aggressive that you can't even install or run your security software in normal mode? This is a common trick malware uses to protect itself. The solution is to restart your computer in safe mode. Safe mode is a special diagnostic mode for Windows that loads only the absolute essential drivers and services. This often prevents the malware from loading, giving you a clean environment to run your scans. To get into safe mode, you can typically hold down the Shift key while clicking Restart from the Windows Start menu, then navigate through the troubleshooting options. Once in safe mode, run your anti-malware scans as described before. A friend once called me in a panic because his PC was unusable. Pop-ups were everywhere, and every program he opened would crash. He couldn't even open his antivirus. We booted his machine into safe mode with networking, which gives you internet access to download tools, installed Malwarebytes, and ran a scan. It found over 200 infections. After removing them and rebooting, his computer was back to normal. To avoid this happening again, practice safe browsing. Don't click on suspicious links or email attachments, and only download software from trusted websites. Prevention is always the best medicine. Even if your computer is virus-free, it can still feel like it's wading through molasses over time. This gradual slowdown is often caused by digital clutter and inefficient settings. One of the biggest offenders is having too many programs launching automatically when you start your computer. Every one of these programs eats up a slice of your system's memory, RAM, and processing power, even if you're not actively using them. Over time, as you install more software, this list of startup programs can grow out of control, leading to painfully long boot times and a sluggish desktop experience. Thankfully, taming your startup programs is easy. In Windows 10 or 11, you can simply right-click the taskbar, select Task Manager, and then click on the Startup tab. Here, you will see a list of every application that launches with your PC, along with a startup impact rating, high, medium, or low. Go through this list and be ruthless. If you see a program you don't need running all the time, like a game launcher or a software updater, right-click it and select Disable. This doesn't uninstall the program, it just stops it from launching automatically. You can still open it manually whenever you need it. Another major speed booster, especially for computers with traditional mechanical hard drives, is disk cleanup and defragmentation. Over time, your drive gets filled with temporary files, old installers, and other digital junk. The Windows Disk Cleanup tool can help you safely remove these files and free up space. After cleaning, you can defragment the drive. Imagine your data is like books in a library. Over time, the books get put back on random shelves, and finding all the parts of one story takes longer. Defragmenting is like organizing the library, putting all the pages of each book together on the same shelf so they can be accessed much faster. Just a quick note, if you have a solid-state drive, you should not defragment it. Instead, Windows will trim it, which is a different optimization process that it handles automatically. Let's look at a real-life case. My mom's laptop took nearly 3 minutes to become usable after turning on. She complained it was getting old. I opened her task manager and found over a dozen programs in her startup list, including multiple printer helpers, photo editors, and old software she hadn't used in years. We disabled almost all of them. Then we ran disk cleanup, which cleared out over 10 gigabytes of junk files. After a restart, her boot time was under a minute, and the whole system felt snappier. No new hardware needed, just a bit of digital housekeeping. It's a great example of how a few simple software tweaks can make an old PC feel young again. Sometimes a software fix just won't cut it. If your diagnostic work points to a faulty physical component, it's time to roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty. Don't worry, many hardware repairs are surprisingly straightforward, almost like building with Legos. but with more screws. Some of the easiest and most common hardware upgrades or replacements you can do are for RAM, memory, and storage drives, like hard drives or SSDs. These two components often provide the biggest performance boost for your money and are relatively simple to access in both desktops and many laptops. Let's take adding more RAM, for example. If your computer is slow when you have many browser tabs or programs open, a RAM upgrade can make a world of difference. On a desktop, the process is simple. After following all the safety steps, you open the side panel of the case. The RAM sticks are long, thin cards slotted into the motherboard, usually held in place by clips on either end. To install new RAM, you just open the clips, align the notch on the new RAM stick with the notch in the slot, and press down firmly until the clips click into place. It's incredibly satisfying. For laptops, it's a similar process, though you'll first need to remove a panel on the bottom of the device to access the RAM slots. Swapping out a storage drive is another game-changing upgrade, especially if you're moving from a slow mechanical hard drive to a super-fast solid-state drive. An SSD can make your computer boot up in seconds and launch programs almost instantly. For a desktop, you'll locate your old drive, unplug its power and data cables, unscrew it from the drive bay, and then mount the new SSD in its place. For a laptop, the hard drive is usually accessible through the bottom panel. The biggest challenge here is not the physical swap, but dealing with the data. You'll either need to reinstall Windows from scratch on the new drive or use cloning software to make an exact copy of your old drive onto the new one. I recently helped a friend upgrade his aging desktop. It had a slow hard drive and he was ready to throw it out. Instead, we bought an affordable 1TB SSD and a new 16GB RAM kit for under $100. The physical installation took less than 30 minutes. We did a fresh install of Windows on the new SSD to get a completely clean start. The difference was night and day. His 5-year-old computer felt faster than a brand new machine from a big box store. He was ecstatic and couldn't believe how simple the process was. It's a perfect example of how a small investment in hardware can give your PC a new lease on life. As much as I love the DIY spirit, it's crucial to know your limits. There are times when continuing to poke around inside your computer can do more harm than good. Recognizing when to stop and call a professional repair technician is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of wisdom. If you've tried the basic troubleshooting steps and are still completely stuck, or if the repair requires specialized tools you don't have, it might be time to hand it over. For example, if your computer won't turn on at all and you've already confirmed the power cable works and tried a different wall outlet, the next step is likely testing the internal power supply unit, which can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. Certain repairs are also significantly more complex and riskier than others. Anything involving the motherboard or the CPU itself falls into this category. Replacing a motherboard is like performing a full transplant on your PC. Every single component has to be disconnected and then reconnected to the new board. Bending a single pin on a CPU can render it useless. Another notoriously difficult repair, especially on modern thin laptops, is replacing a swollen battery. A swollen lithium-ion battery is a fire hazard and must be handled with extreme care. Similarly, replacing a cracked laptop screen often involves disassembling the entire top half of the device, a delicate process with many tiny fragile connectors. Let's consider a real-world scenario. A user's high-end gaming laptop suddenly died. They did the basic checks, power adapter, etc., but nothing. They opened it up and saw no obvious signs of damage. At this point, the problem could be a dead motherboard, a fried CPU, or some other complex power delivery issue on the mainboard. This is the perfect time to stop. Probing a motherboard with a multimeter without knowing the correct voltage points can cause a short circuit, turning a repairable problem into a permanent one. A professional technician has the schematics, the diagnostic tools, and the experience to trace the fault safely. So what's the golden rule? If the repair involves soldering, diagnosing board-level electronic faults, or handling potentially dangerous components like a swollen battery, call a pro. Also, if the data on the computer is critically important and you don't have a backup, it's often safer to let an expert handle it, especially if the issue seems to be a failing hard drive. Your personal files are worth more than the satisfaction of a DIY fix. Finding a reputable local repair shop can be a lifesaver. Check online reviews, ask for recommendations, and don't be afraid to get a quote before committing to the repair. Knowing when to ask for help is a pro skill in itself. And there you have it. We've journeyed from the absolute basics of toolkits and safety all the way through diagnosing problems, fixing software slowdowns, and even swapping out physical hardware. The goal of this guide was never to turn you into a master technician overnight. It was to pull back the curtain and show you that computer repair isn't some mystical art. It's a logical process of observation, diagnosis, and action. By tackling the simple problems yourself, you not only save time and money, but you also build a deeper understanding of the technology you use every single day. That knowledge is incredibly valuable. Remember the key takeaways. Always prioritize safety. Unplug everything and ground yourself to prevent static discharge. Be a good detective. Observe the symptoms and use logic to narrow down the cause before you start changing things. Start with the simplest solutions first. You'd be amazed how often a problem is just a loose cable or a program that needs updating. And most importantly, celebrate your victories. The first time you successfully revive a dead computer, whether it was through a simple software tweak or a hardware swap, is a moment you won't forget. It builds the confidence to tackle the next challenge. Your learning journey doesn't have to end here. The internet is a treasure trove of information. Websites like iFixit offer detailed step-by-step teardown and repair guides for thousands of specific laptop and desktop models. YouTube channels like mine, Linus Tech Tips, and others like Gamers Nexus or Jay's 2 Cents are filled with visual guides that can walk you through almost any repair you can imagine. Online forums like the ones on Reddit, such as r/build-apc or r/tech support, are communities where you can ask specific questions and get advice from experienced builders and technicians from around the world. So the next time your computer starts acting up, don't immediately reach for your wallet. Reach for your screwdriver and your thinking cap. Approach the problem with curiosity and patience. You now have the foundational knowledge to start troubleshooting like a pro. You know how to identify the problem, how to work safely, and how to perform many of the most common fixes. You also know when it's smart to step back and call for help. Welcome to the club. You're not just a computer user anymore, you're a computer owner who is in control. Now go out there and fix something.